Hello and welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
This is our breakdown of chapter 1068.
And are you kidding me with this part of the story? Harald meets Emu. He walks into the throne room and Emu is just sitting there on the empty throne. I completely lost my mind.
It's even darker than that, Franky. Emu doesn't just meet him. Emu enslaves him, body and soul.
My stomach is still in knots. Okay, let's back up and go through this whole tragedy from the beginning. This is one of those parts of the story where you finish it, put your phone down, and just stare at the wall for 10 minutes.
Let's. The calm before the storm.
So we start out and everything is looking up for Elbaph. Their reputation around the world is getting better because of the giants in the Marines. We saw John Giant way back when, but this implies it was a whole program. People are excited to get their goods. It's like Harald's plan is actually working. He's breaking a centuries-long stereotype of giants just being mindless brutes.
It's a remarkable piece of diplomacy. For generations, the world government has likely pushed propaganda portraying giants as savages, a threat to be managed, not a culture to be engaged with. Think about how Ors and his descendant were viewed. Harald is single-handedly reversing that narrative through action. He's opening Elbaph to the world, not with force, but with trade and cooperation.
Exactly. And he gives this amazing speech to his people. He's standing there, this absolute unit of a king, and he's not talking about conquest, he's talking about shipbuilding. He wants to join the world government so they can get the resources and the sea charts to travel the world, to learn, to see other cultures. It's the opposite of Wano's isolationism. It's a vision of a new, open Elbaph.
The parallels to Wano are very pointed. Odin wanted to open Wano's borders to the world to fulfill a specific destiny tied to the dawn. Harald wants to open Elbaph's borders to free his people from a self-imposed prison of a warrior-only mentality. Both are visions of progress, but they come from different places. Harald's is born from a desire for cultural evolution.
And you see that philosophy in action at the Walrus school. I love it. It's everything he was working for. He even has this talk with Saul there, and you can just feel the pride radiating off him. He's watching these little giant kids just playing, learning, being kids. He says they're free and innocent. He's not trying to raise another generation of just warriors, and that is so super.
Saul plays the perfect devil's advocate here. He asks him, "Are you afraid of losing that warrior culture?" It's a valid question. For centuries, being a warrior is what it meant to be a giant of Elbaph. It's their entire identity.
But Harald's answer is perfect. He says their strength isn't just in their military might anymore. Their strength is in their honor, their craftsmanship, and now their knowledge. And he credits Ida for teaching him that. He looks over at her and, man, the look in his eyes. You could just see the pure love there.
It's such a powerful statement. He's redefining what strength means for an entire nation, and he humbly admits that it wasn't his idea alone. It was born from his love for Ida. She was the one who showed him a path beyond the sword.
Ah, Ida, man. Okay, let's talk about the scene with them in the winter. That hit hard. It's quiet, just the two of them, snow falling. It feels so intimate after all the big political moves and speeches. She tells him how proud she is of how much he and the country have changed. She saw the man he could be before he saw it himself.
And she has that perfect insight. She's the balance he needs. She tells him not to erase the warrior's pride completely, but to appreciate it as part of who they are. It's not about destroying the past. It's about building on top of it.
She respected their roots as warriors. That's beautiful, man. And he just opens up to her. He's so vulnerable. He says that it was that old way of thinking, that rigid warrior code that kept them from marrying. Oh my God, that line just broke me. I wonder why exactly. Maybe she wasn't from a noble warrior family, or maybe his duties as a warrior king were seen as more important. But the point is, their love was held hostage by the very culture he's now trying to change. All this change, all this work was so he could build a world where they could finally, officially be together.
It casts the entire political effort in a new light. It's not just a king's duty. It's a personal crusade. He's literally trying to reshape his entire civilization to validate their love. It's one of the most romantic and tragic motivations we've ever seen in this story.
And then she passes away.
And it was brutal. One moment, they're sharing this beautiful, hopeful dream. The next, he's holding her hand, and it's limp. No grand battle, no dramatic illness hinted at before. Just gone.
No way. It was so sudden. He was doing all this for her, for their future. And she's just gone. It felt so real, you know? Sometimes life just does that. It's cruel and it doesn't make sense. You see him at her funeral and this mountain of a man looks so small. Hajarudin is there, just a kid crying his eyes out. Even Loki, mourning from his prison cell, is weeping. It's devastating.
It reframes his entire motivation. The dream was born from their love, but now he has to carry it forward alone, as her legacy. The hope that fueled him is replaced by grief-stricken determination. It's no longer about building a future with her. It's about building a future that would have been worthy of her.
And that desperation, that grief, is what sends him straight into the lion's den. He doubles down. He can't let her dream die with her. He has to see it through, no matter the cost. So he goes to Mary Geoise.
And this is where things get really complicated. The 5 elders meet him, and they offer him a deal. They tell him he's going to be made a knight of God, a holy knight, the highest honor imaginable.
Wait, but he was the backup. This is the part that sent me spiraling. The Gorose say something like the position has unexpectedly opened, and one of them mentions the original candidate, red-haired Shanks, was on a mission to complete his trial to become a holy knight, and he just disappeared. What is that about?
This is a colossal lore drop, Franky. It adds so much to what we saw of him at Mary Geoise during the reverie. Why could he get an audience with the Gorose? Because he wasn't just some pirate to them. He was one of them, or he was supposed to be. They had a specific path for him, a high-ranking position within their elite force, the personal guard of the celestial dragons, and by extension, Emu.
So he was on track to become a top-tier government dog, maybe even a Figureland family prodigy like Garling, and he just bailed. He chose piracy. He chose freedom. Wow, that makes his whole character even more complex. He didn't just stumble into being a Yonko. He actively rejected a place at the top of the world. He saw what was behind the curtain and said, no thanks.
It changes everything. He wasn't just giving up a comfortable life. He was giving up a position of immense power within the system. He saw the truth of the world government and walked away. But Harald doesn't know any of that. He just sees his chance. He sees an open door to achieve Ida's dream. He accepts the deal to finally get Elbaph recognized by the world government. He's doing it for her.
He has no idea what he's walking into. He thinks he's signing a treaty, and he's walking into a trap that feels like it's been set for 800 years. The 5 elders lead him down this long, dark hallway. The atmosphere is just so heavy. You know something is wrong. They lead him to the Pangea Castle throne room, the empty throne room.
And he's still so noble. Even in this moment, his mind is on the future of his people. He tells them that once Elbaph joins the world government, he's planning to step down as king. He says his hands are stained by the old ways, the warrior's path. He wants someone younger and purer to lead them into the new era of peace. He's such a good man. He's doing everything right.
He's literally sacrificing his own crown for the good of the country, and that's when a voice comes from the throne saying something like his reign is far from over. I knew it was coming, and I still jumped. Emu is just sitting there, legs crossed, casual as can be, like it's the most normal thing in the world, and Harald is just frozen in shock. His face says it all. Everything he knows about the world, the balance of power, the sacred vow of the empty throne, it all shatters in that 1 second.
Imu tells him that they will decide his fate. The absolute power in that statement is chilling. The pronoun they is also interesting. Is it the royal we, or is Imu referring to a collective, or perhaps the long line of emus that may have existed? Regardless, the effect is the same. The Gorosei, the highest authority in the world, the men who command the admirals and cipher pole, are just silent, bowing servants in that room.
And they upgrade his pact. It wasn't just about becoming a holy knight. They talk about a shallow covenant, which is what he agreed to, but Imu offers him a depths covenant. He's not just made a holy knight, he's made a true knight of God. Imu reaches out a finger, and this dark, shadowy energy flows into Harald. He's granted even more strength and immortality.
Initially, it seems like a reward, a twisted blessing. He's been given immense power and eternal life to lead his people into a new age, a king who can shepherd his country forever. It seems, for a moment, that his noble sacrifice is being recognized and amplified.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wait, what's the catch? Is Imu actually helping him? This is weird. But then the order comes. The other shoe drops so hard it creates a crater.
Imu orders him to return to Elbaph and create an abyss.
What does that even mean? It's so ominous and vague. And then the real order drops, the specifics. He has to turn all of Elbaph into a country of warriors. Not just warriors, but a military factory for the world government. Every child, every man and woman will be raised for combat, to be deployed as the world government sees fit. A personal, giant-sized army for Imu.
It's the complete and total opposite of the dream he and Ida built together. It is a perversion of her legacy. Imu isn't just ignoring his dream. Imu is taking his dream, twisting it into a nightmare, and forcing him to be the one to enact it. It's psychological torture of the highest order.
I was so proud of him, bro. Even in the face of this god, he stands up to Imu. He refuses. He yells that he would gladly let his people join the Marines if they chose to, but he will not force them into slavery. He says he was content with only enslaving himself for their future, not innocent people. What a king! He draws the line. He has a code.
But Imu's response is one of the coldest things I've ever heard. Something like, the sins of the ancient giants cannot be atoned for by you alone. This confirms it. This isn't about an alliance. This is about an 800-year-old grudge. The world government's war against the ancient kingdom never ended. Imu remembers what the giants did during the Void Century, and then Harald starts to move against his own will. That's insane.
Then you see his arm starting to raise on its own, and Harald is staring at it in horror, trying to force it down. That's the most terrifying thing I've seen in a long time. The Depths Covenant doesn't just grant power, it steals your free will. He is a literal puppet, a marionette whose strings are held by Imu.
He has all this strength, this newfound power and immortality, but he cannot disobey a single order. It's the ultimate form of control. He isn't a king anymore. He isn't even a person. He is a tool, a weapon, a conscious but helpless prisoner in his own body. A fate far, far worse than death.
And you see the realization hit him, the horror. The world government never wanted an alliance. They didn't want Elbaph as equals. They wanted an army of giant warriors to command. They wanted slaves. They played on his grief, his hope, his love for Ida, and used it all to forge a chain around his neck and the neck of his entire country.
He was completely and utterly betrayed. His dream wasn't just denied, it was used against him to entrap not just him, but his entire race for eternity, thanks to his immortality.
So what does he do in his last moments of freedom, his last act of his own free will before the puppet master takes full control? He turns to his own royal guards, and he tells them to chain him to a pillar in the castle when they get back.
He knows he's about to become a monster, a weapon pointed directly at the heart of his own people, his own family. He's trying to stop himself. It's a desperate, futile gesture, but it's all he has left.
But it's more than that. It's a plan. He tells them to release Loki from his cell. He must have been locked up for some reason, maybe because he's a hothead, and to summon Jarl and his sons to the castle. Oh my god, he's setting the stage for his own children and allies to fight him, to kill him if they can. He's forcing them to become the heroes that save Elbaph from their own father. Super! That is just a level of sacrifice sacrifice I can't even comprehend.
It's the only choice he has left. He knows he can't resist Emu's command, so he has to become the villain of Elbaph's story to protect its soul. He's sacrificing his legacy, his honor, and the love of his own sons. He'll be remembered as a tyrant, a monster who tried to enslave his own country so that his country could remain free. He's orchestrating the very tragedy that will define his people for the next decade.
And that's where it ends. The image of him, eyes wide with tears and terror, giving that final command. The stage is set for the massacre. I need a minute. That was one of the heaviest parts of the story, man.
Indeed. Recontextualizes everything we thought we knew about the Elbaph incident, the giant's rampage, as the history books probably call it. It wasn't just a family squabble or a king going mad with power. It was an act of rebellion against the highest power in the world, carried out in the only way it could be. A tragic, secret war fought in their own castle.
Wild. Okay, let's try and think about what's next. This is gonna be tough. Predictions. You go first.
All right. First, the term abyss that Emu used feels specific. Emu doesn't strike me as one for simple metaphors when giving commands. I predict it's not a turn of phrase for creating a nation of warriors. It's a physical location on Elbaph, a place of great significance or darkness. The climax of this flashback, the fight between Harald and his sons, will take place at or in this abyss. It might be where a ponegraft is hidden, or perhaps it's the prison of an ancient weapon Emu wants to control.
Ooh, I like that. Like a literal pit where they used to throw their enemies, and he's supposed to throw his entire country's soul into it. Okay, my turn. Prediction 1. I think we are going to see the fight soon. It's going to be brutal, emotionally and physically, and I think Jarl is going to die. He's going to sacrifice himself to protect Loki from their father's uncontrollable wrath. That's the event that forges Loki. It takes the rebellious prince and hardens him into the stern, cold king we know today, the one who carries the weight of killing his own father and seeing Jarl die.
That would be incredibly tragic, and it fits the tone. My second prediction follows from that. We know Harald is immortal now, thanks to Emu's gift, so I don't think Loki and Jarl actually kill him. They can't. I believe they find a way to defeat him that doesn't involve death. Perhaps they use a specific treasure of Elbaph or a technique they learned to seal him away in that very abyss. Or perhaps even more intriguing, they find a weakness in the Depths Covenant that temporarily severs Emu's control, causing Harald to collapse. This is what everyone perceives as his death, but in reality he's either sealed away or in a state of living death, still bound to Emu.
Whoa, so he could still be alive somewhere on Elbaph, a secret prisoner under the castle? That's a scary thought. Okay, my final prediction, and it's a big one. This whole flashback is happening for a reason in the present day. We're learning this now because it's about to become relevant. I predict that the second this flashback ends, we cut back to present-day Elbaph, and Shanks is there. He's just arrived. He's going to be the one to explain the true nature of the Holy Knights and the Depths Covenant to the Strawheads, because he's the one who ran away from it all those years ago. He knows what Harald fell into. He knows the trap.
That would be a powerful way to tie the past and present together. Shanks, the man who escaped the fate, explaining the tragedy of the man who took his place. It would set the stakes for the final war perfectly.
It's all connected, man. This story is wild. All right, that's all the time we have for today. My brain is fried. What a bombshell.
Indeed. Join us next time as we continue to sail these tumultuous seas.
This has been Inherited Dawn. See ya.